All right, welcome back to the Armed and Deadly podcast. I am your host, Eric Portwood, the founder and your host, I think I already said host, of the Armed and Deadly lifestyle and the mindset that we call Armed and Deadly. I am extremely excited about this episode. It's been a long time coming.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long time coming. For many of you know that this podcast got started back when I began my mental health, self-mastery, self-development journey. And it started because as men and as dads, we need to show up as the examples for our kids. And I was not doing that. So during that time, this man here that we're going to have a good conversation with was always there. He's always been a staple in this mental health self-development journey, and is always, no matter time, whatever the time goes by, he is there and always reaches out. It doesn't matter if I don't answer the phone; he doesn't get mad at me either. So,
No.
So I'd like to introduce my friend Craig Bodette. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me. This has kind of been, like 6 years in the making?
Yeah, well, maybe. Well, I don't even know how long I've had this damn podcast.
Well, it feels like 6 years.
Yeah, so, all right, now we're good.
Oh, you're good.
The video was off. I don't like when the video is off. But anyway, so, like I said in the introduction, man, we both experienced trauma within the fire department, and lost a good friend, and that was a big part of where I started going down this road and trying to help other guys and girls, express themselves and their feelings. And I don't know, when did your passion for the mental health world begin?
It actually started really by chance, honestly. So for me, I've had skin cancer several times, and I just happened to give a presentation on skin cancer, what to look for and what not to look for, and signs and symptoms, that kind of thing. And then so really at a union meeting, just like at the end of 2014, like in December, and I'll never forget it. We were at Station 4 in Doswell and having a union meeting, and they were like, "Hey, we take care of we got the health and safety with the physical side, but we don't have anybody for the mental health side. Do you want to do it?" Of course, I'm like,
"Who, me?
Man, what?
You talking to me?
Hello, yeah." And so it really kind of shocked me, because I looked at him and said, "I don't know a single thing about mental health. Are you kidding me?" And they're like, "Well, no, we don't either. So yeah, do you want to do it?" Now, I had an opportunity to take a couple of days to think about it, and I was like, "Well, look, if you're willing to accept the fact that I'm going to make some decisions that that are going to be mistakes, I'm going to make my mistakes. If you're okay with that, then yeah, I don't have mind doing it. But if you're looking for somebody that's going to be a robot, I'm not your guy, because I don't know what I'm doing, first off. And so my mistake level and meter could go way through the roof." And they were like, "Yeah, we don't have anybody doing it. So yeah, come on."
Yeah.
And then I got into it, and really didn't realize the lack of services, or didn't really realize everything that was involved that people are struggling with on a daily basis. Even outside of calls, just, it's hard enough in life to juggle family and to juggle friends and the other extracurricular activities you have. And sometimes at night, man, you come home, you're just like, "Man, I'm not physically tired, but I'm mentally wore out." And I think the other thing for me is being able to really start my own journey. A lot of people that work in the mental health field have had their own trauma, right? Mm-hmm. Being when they were either young in middle school, as early adults, we all have had our own trauma.
Yep.
And so really realized that, I was dealing with my own trauma, which I thought was what I was dealing with. Come to find out, I wasn't really dealing with it. I was just able to kind of push it to the side and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough to look at somebody and say, hey, man, I'm struggling. And that's hard.
Yeah.
And
why do you think that's so hard for so many people?
Man, everybody's different. Everybody's different. I mean, it just could be how you're raised, right?
It's true.
What do you
culturally? Sometimes I know in different cultures, it's frowned upon to say it's really looked at as true weakness in some cultures.
Oh yeah, and even in for us especially. I mean, when I say us, it's even for kids. I mean, like you smash your finger, and all four of your fingers are like crushed.
Yeah. And
what are you told? Oh, well, suck that up and hey, go grab some dirt.
Walk it off.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Well, legitimately, that's traumatizing. So we don't think about that. That's what we're taught. So if that's what we're taught, it's got to be the right way. And so we're going to do what we think is the right thing, and that's just continue to move on. And it's amazing, right? So like, I mean, my mom and dad were together for 42 years, and my dad worked on a railroad and was gone 3 or 4 days at a time. So he'd leave on a Monday, come home on a Thursday or Friday, and then leave again on a Saturday. And it was just always that cycle. So I was always raised by my mom. My dad was there as much as he could be. You talk about Landon and spending time with him when you have work to do. Well, he would come home after working 14-hour days and come to my basketball game. Only catch the second half of it, but just the fact that he was there, that he was present, really taught me the value of, hey, look, sometimes you just gotta be there for your kids. But my mom was very much a very gruff woman on the outside, right? Kind of like, seemed like almost ogreish. I'm not calling her Shrek, but she was just ogreish on the outside, but she had a heart of gold on the inside, and an incredible connection with people. And we're all wired to be connected. Yeah. We all want to feel connected, but a lot of times when that connection stops, or when there's a roadblock in that connection, we fade away. Yeah. But she raised me to say, hey, look, you have emotions of, if you're sad, you're sad. If you're crying, you're upset, cry. You have those emotions that are given to you. Those are emotions that are handed to you. And it's just the ability to express them without any kind of remorse, not any kind of embarrassment. Right. Because think about it. Stop crying, you sissy. Or, man, that ain't that bad. Suck it up. Well, to you it may not be bad, but to me it may be the worst thing in my life. And everybody has different perspectives. So it's the stigma. It's the fact we would rather worry about our own, how can I say this? We'd rather worry about our car breaking down than we worry about our own mental health.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking about that the other day. Is you walk, as I go on these ruck marches every single day now, and whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether I got to do it at nighttime or whatever, I do it at some point in the day, and you see these shiny cars going by, and it's like these people have spent more time maintaining their vehicle, and you look at their face when they drive by, and it's just like an empty shell, but their vehicle's shiny.
Yeah, yeah.
But they've spent more time maintaining that vehicle than they've even thought about themselves. And I like to another point of the same thing. I was overheard a conversation in the gym this morning. Of course, there's been a couple big football games here recently. But these guys they knew more stats and were, bashing some of the plays that these players made. They knew more about this football team and these other players than I think they even know about themselves.
Right, right.
I don't think they've ever really taken a deep dive in on themselves, but they're very, very quick to overanalyze somebody else first.
Well, and I think that's just human nature. We're always looking, we are very quick to tell somebody when they do something wrong before we are quick to tell them when they do anything right.
Sure.
And so we, one of the other things that I could look at you and immediately find something bad in you if I look long enough, if I look hard enough.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, that's our default. That's what we go to. It's like, I was talking with somebody else, Albert Einstein, I don't know how true, obviously 1902 to 2022, 2023.
I mean, you were born right about that time, right?
It was 1899.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no. Albert Einstein was like 6. Don't choke on that water. I don't want you choking on it, please. But he put up simple numbers on the board, and I just thought 50 numbers, math equations, like 1 + 1 is 2, 1 + 2 is 3, that kind of thing. And he literally went and out of the 50 he put up on the board, he made one wrong, right? And it wasn't like early on; it was like in the mid, like 23, 24. And what did people focus on? Not the other 49 equations that he got right. It was the one that he got wrong.
Yeah.
And that's
why I think that is?
Why?
I think we're so quick to point out other people's wrongs because inside we know that we are wrong in those same things.
Yeah. And I think it's also because you want to make you want to belittle people because it makes you, takes you out of the spotlight out of you, takes all the discomfort you may be feeling and puts it on other people.
Yeah.
And so, I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of times we make fun of people because of fear.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It takes the spot, like you say, it takes the spotlight off of you and puts it on them. And then you can sink back into the shadows and be that person that you're bashing.
And it stirs a pot. That's the thing that gets me. It just stirs a pot. I mean, people are not going to listen to you. So if you're doing something wrong, I'm a huge sports fan. I mean, I've liked it since I've been a little boy, but I think mainly because it was, I was the only child. So that's the only thing I had was, if I wanted to play, I had to play sports with other kids in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. And so, but I love basketball. And so there was a coach out of DeMatha High School out of Baltimore, who his name was Morgan Wooten. And basically he was stating that, that people, if you go to somebody and say, start off with a negative, they're not going to hear anything else you said after that.
Right.
He said, I used to tell people all the time, hey, look, man, we're doing a really great job of grabbing rebounds, but we are not really doing a good job of getting back on defense, of transitioning back to defense. And so, while it may seem simple and kind of like, oh, that's no big deal, but if you tell me it's something I do wrong, immediately I'm on the defensive.
Yeah.
And now I don't want to hear what the hell else you got to say. I don't.
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking, well, he's not here to be positive. He's here to be throwing negativity on me. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to deal with that.
Yeah. That was one of the things I liked to do in the fire department is one of the things I like to come up to people and, hey, you look nice today. I think I probably use that.
People do not know how to accept.
It's just I would even do that. We would be in the middle. I think it was Justin Knuckles. I did it too. I think we were in the middle of we were inside a fire, and I come in there and I'm like, hey man, you look nice today. It's like we take the stress out of the situation,
Yeah.
Hey, we're here. We're gonna get it done.
And just have fun.
You look good. I look good. We're gonna make it happen.
And that fire looks beautiful. Now I don't know. I don't necessarily know what that looks like, but I heard it looks beautiful.
You've heard of it. You've heard of this. You've heard of this mythical beast, fire.
I've looked at it and I've been like, man, that flame looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's kind of so. Think, and you bring up a good point too. I cannot begin to tell you how many times when you ask somebody, "Hey, how you doing?" It could kind of tense and freeze up a little bit, and you're like, "Well, what's wrong?" It's almost like you've asked them to cut the right arm off.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not love my wife, but she is a TV, what's the word, aficionado. But she loves TV. Like, her job is a lot of focus during the day, and she comes home and just throws into the TV sometimes just to kind of decompress.
Right.
But she was watching Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
I watched that too. Yeah.
Give me a man card.
Okay.
What?
I actually lay mine on the table when I walk in anyway.
She's like, your wife, Courtney's like, you want to watch this?
Well,
Yes,
so, but in my defense, that's why I watched it, because Courtney was watching it.
Oh, no,
and I had to come, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be an asshole and say, turn this off.
Well, Eric, I
have tried that, but it doesn't work.
It worked for like a hot second, maybe a hot second. But I will say, my wife's got me hooked on Below Deck on Bravo. I mean, but it's just more for moral support. I mean, I don't, that's just rubbish. I don't watch it at all.
No.
Craig. What? But, so Meghan Markle was talking about her situation, and it's literally, I take my hat off to them because they took control of their lives, and to get away from that circus called the media, get away from that circus of being followed, and trying to live a normal, husband, wife, child, normal family life. And so she talked about, she was going through some things, and the guy was talking about something, and she was like, he never asked me, hey, how are you doing?
Right.
You know how easy that is, or the response. Like, I often will start conversations with, hey, how you doing? And I was like,
excuse me.
So, but people will start off like, you start the conversation off, hey, how you doing? They don't know how to take it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not asking with strings attached. I'm just generally asking.
I think it's almost become such a habit. It's almost not meaningful anymore when somebody asks you how they're doing. I know when you ask, you actually care.
Right.
But I think the general statement of, hey man, what's up? How you doing? Is just like it's just what we say all the time.
Yeah. Icebreaker.
Yeah. It's just what we say. Mm-hmm. So it's not truly thought about. So when somebody's approached and somebody truly wants to know or truly cares, then that's when it's like, wait a second, man, we're just supposed to be fist bumping and rolling on this, man. I ain't trying to get into.
I don't want to go deep. I just asked a simple question.
Yeah.
You say, good, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
But then what happens when they say, hey, I'm not doing so well, right? Or what happens then? Do you just go, all right, hey, cool, thanks, and I'm out the door? No, that's when you ask that question, you better be prepared for people to give you an answer other than I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Well, what's going on? And and I don't try to get people.
I think some people are not. They don't know what to say after somebody tells them, "Hey, I'm not very good," or they don't want to take on. They're not prepared to take on all of that weight.
Correct.
So now they're just like, they're freaked out. All right, well, now I know this person's not good. Now what?
It's really the listening aspect of it, right? I mean, sometimes people just want to get it off their chest. Hey, man, what's going on? When you ask that question, hey, what's going on? They say, hey, I'm not doing good. Oh, so what's going on? Mm-hmm. I'm having car issues, or I've just spent $1,000 on my car.
Yeah.
To get it fixed, or, I'm having, my dog is dying, or something of that nature. Those are all things that we can relate to. We've all gotten hit with bills, automotive bills that are expensive, or our dog passing away, or, so those things are very real. And that's where you can really just listen to what they're talking about. I can't look at somebody and go, yeah, I understand, if I haven't been through it, right? If I haven't been through a dog dying, I can't look at you and go, yeah, I understand, because I don't. But I'm sorry you got to go through that, you know? And then people, once you get them open and once you get them to speak, it's just like fishing, right? You've got them to where they walk away going, man, I really do feel good, you know? Now here's the other question. Hey, how you doing? Man, I think I'm gonna kill myself. Now what?
Yeah. What?
Look what time it is. I have got to get going.
Mm-hmm.
You when they tell you that and drop on your lap, you better be ready to deal with it. And not just deal with it, but understand and get that person the assistance that's needed. And one of the things early on in my young adulthood working career was, you don't need to know the answers to everything. You just need to know where to go to get the answers. And if you don't know what to do with that, how to deal with that, then you can have people, you know, you got people in your corner, kind of like people's tax or whatever that tax that, you know, we got people. That's what it is. And so, people are very, and even include myself, because I'll be the first one to tell you, I thought suicide was the most chicken way out. I really did. I thought it was horrible. I thought you'd done nothing but screwed everybody else over. You've left everybody else here to suffer while you're free. But in all reality, that's not the case at all. In all reality, suicide is wanting the pain to go away. Mm-hmm. That's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, I think that person has gotten. They've gone into that dark place to where they don't think there's a way out. And I think that they are probably feeling helpless. They're feeling that they are more of a burden on the people around them more. And they think, they don't look at it as a selfish thing. They're thinking that they're doing them a favor.
Right. But then it's that perspective, right? It's part of the job is to try to, you know, if it's either with you or whoever else, a clinician, a mental health therapist, you know, somebody that can kind of put a perspective in, because it's also, you know, maybe it is a brain issue. Maybe it is a physical issue. Maybe you got something going on in your brain that you don't realize, because, you know, your brain plays a huge role into everything, you know, when it comes to that. I mean, like from depression to anxiety to suicidal thoughts, the brain is as we all know, is very intricate and very amazing, that the brain can, sometimes one portion shuts off, another portion can wire in and go around. And so, you know, I think when people get in a hole and when they're down there, they look up and they're like, man, how did I get here? They don't even realize it, right? They don't realize they're in the hole, right? But then once they're there, they're struggling to get out. And then they think that they have nobody else that they can rely on, that basically that attitude of, well, I've got myself in it, I can get myself out of it. Mm-hmm. There's not a single time in your life, from the time you're born until you're older, that you don't need help somewhere along the road. I mean, I think about all the times with my struggles in my life that people helped me, right? And it wouldn't even help that I asked for. It was just, hey, I see you struggling, let me help you. Man, I can't, you know, I want to get that back. Yeah. I don't want to hold on to that. I want to do that for other people, to say, hey, look, let me help you. Yeah. But
I know for me, you know what it feels like to be in a dark spot. You know what depression feels like. For me, I know what depression feels like. I know what anxiety feels like. I know what it feels like to be in a super dark place. And I don't want anybody else to feel that pain. Like, right. It sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want people to know that there are tools, there are things that you can do. Now, you know, I think people say, oh, just go exercise and that'll fix. Exercise works, mm-hmm. But it doesn't, but it doesn't fix your brain.
Right.
I think where I don't know what rabbit hole I'm going to try to go down here, but there's not a one size fits all.
There's no silver bullet
solution for everything. I think there are simple diet, exercise, sleep, relationships. I think those are, for me, faith. I think are huge staples and that can help. Mm-hmm. But for somebody that's never actually used those tools before and doesn't have anybody to show them how to use those tools, then,
it's all for naught.
Yeah.
Well, so you think about this too, right? So when it comes to that kind of stuff, we also don't want to reach out because we don't want people to peel back that curtain, right? And to see how jacked up we are, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Because look, it is a scary thing. Like, one of the things I always believe in that I don't look at you and be like, hey, if you experienced an X, Y, and Z over the last month, then you probably need to go see a therapist.
Yeah, you're not a medication commercial.
No. Hey, take these.
Yeah.
But I also firmly believe that I have to be able to practice. I have to be able to believe in what I'm selling. And if I don't believe that,
sure,
nobody else is going to believe that.
Yeah.
Hey, look, man, I have no shame in telling people, hey, I'm seeing a therapist now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not because at first it was because I'm struggling and because I knew the signs and symptoms of what I was dealing with and, everything was going on in my mind, but it was to get a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even just talking to a therapist is like that validation portion. And if therapists are worth their salt, they'll either say, yeah, hey, you're right in what you're thinking, or no, here's another perspective on how to look at that. Like the individual I'm seeing now, the guy I'm seeing now, he said, we were talking about intelligence, and I've never looked at myself as the most intelligent person in the world, right? I mean, like I know people that could read 100 pages in 10 minutes, take a 100-question test, and get 5 wrong.
Right.
Me 100 pages is going to take me.
I'd get all of them wrong if I'd say.
Well, when you put D down, you can never. It's a 50-50
you'll get some of them.
Come on, baby. Oh, yes, but so I talked about that, and he said, but Craig, there's a difference though. He said, you may not have. He said, you may be an intellect, but he said, but you have emotional intelligence. And dude was like, when he said that, I'm kind of like, what? What is that again? And he explained it to me, and I was like, man, I am like that. Yeah. I am. And it threw me back.
It's awareness, emotional intelligence, and being aware.
Yeah, but I mean, even to hear somebody say, because you never view yourself the way other people view you, right? I mean,
I hope not.
No.
God, if people heard the way I talk to me, they'd be
like,
offended.
What are you? Do you need to call the sheriff's office? What's going on?
Why are you so hard on that guy?
you ever see that movie, Liar, Liar?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing? I'm kicking my ass.
That's right. I do that daily.
But I mean, so yeah, that's one of those things, man, that to have somebody else see that and then to make you think about it, right? Because sometimes people say things to you and you're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's way off.
I was listening to a podcast this morning about that, and we're very quick. We may completely believe in ourselves in one area of our lives, but it may only take that one person to come along and say, well, your whole family's fat, so you're always going to be fat. For that person, for that to be in their mind, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm always going to be fat.
And then not try.
And then never even try. Mm-hmm. Because the narrative, the narrator in their own brain is telling them how the story ends. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to change the plot.
It's over before it even begins.
Yeah.
And that's, the brain in itself just... to me, it's the most amazing thing, but just how people bounce back. Like, psychology to me is why do people do what they do? What are some of the decision making? What's what's that mindset, right? I mean, it takes courage to be able to it takes courage to be able to say, hey, I'm struggling, but there is strength in that courage, in that saying, hey, I am having a hard time here. But we don't take the time to understand that. We don't take the time to understand that hey, you know what? If you come to me and talk about something, the very first thing I tell people, hey man, first off, appreciate you coming to me because I know it's not easy. I know it's difficult, right? But then we also have the opportunity, instead of tearing down, to build up, right? Because sometimes people are just kind of like, and you can see them kind of collapse and relax a little bit going, oh man, I'm not going to be judged, right? And that's a great feeling. How many times you do that, right? How many times somebody asks you a question and you're just coming up with some kind of BS answer just to get them out of your way because you don't want them near you.
Right.
I mean, you do it with Courtney, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But it don't go far. Kind of like TV.
Why? I wrote this note down.
Go ahead.
So, you talk about the courage in reaching out. And that does take a lot of courage. I mean, it took me a while before I actually admitted and reached out. But I think in the military, fire, police, EMS world,
public safety in general. I don't say first responders anymore because Brad always hated that term, first responders. Oh, yeah. So I try to respect it. I try to respect that. Hard, isn't
it? I know that they feel like they're still going to be penalized when they reach out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be labeled as broken or unfit, or, I mean, I just applied for I won't even say that, I won't bash the department publicly, but I was told by a government organization that I was unfit for a job that I did for almost 16 years.
And you're just kind of like,
and they didn't,
what?
And there was no reason given. I can only assume that it was because I've seen a therapist in the past, but I don't know. It could be, it was, what else could there be? Do I not fit? Well, I don't know.
How shocking is that to hear that, right?
It was dumbfounding.
Yeah. I mean, to that point, you just kind of like,
not to discount other folks that are getting the job, but we can discount them at the same time, because some of these people that are getting these jobs, I think they're just getting them because they are
a yes man.
Yeah. They don't have a mind of their own. They don't have any critical thinking skills. They're not going to ask questions. They're just going to do what they're told.
Kind of like a horse on a trail, right?
Yeah.
That horse gets on that trail.
And that person, I feel like, is probably less likely to be aware that they may be struggling.
So when you heard that, what does that teach you to do more than anything? When they said, hey, thanks, but no thanks, because of you possibly seeing mental health, because you're reaching out for help, trying to make a better you.
Yeah.
What that teaches you to do is it teaches you to lie.
Right. Absolutely. And that was actually my I think I told Courtney, I was like, well, shit, if I had known this, I would have never said, it makes people, like you say, it teaches you to lie. It makes people not honest because they know how they need to answer the questions. So you're creating a culture of dishonest people.
Yes.
So what's it do? But when they do get the job, then they know they lied to get the job. Then they get the job. And when they're struggling, then they're going to continue to hold it in because then they know they might lose their job.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So then what happens? You have a ticking time bomb, and one day they explode, one day they kill themselves, one day they kill somebody else, one day
What's wrong with that
they
guy?
wreck a $500,000 piece of equipment. They kill a patient because their mind is not focused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which could have maybe not prevented everything, but maybe could have changed the course of the scenario if they were just open and told the truth.
Yeah, right. And so it's kind of like, once again, I think about, so, with my mom, I never, she was a brilliant woman, but I probably never told her enough how brilliant she was until after the fact. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, she knew how much I loved her, but, that lying thing was, well, hey, look, you can lie to me. Sure. You can tell me one, then you got to tell me two to cover up the first one. Then you got to tell three to cover up the two. By the time you get to the fourth, the fifth one, you're not going to remember what you lied about. And I'm like, no, I think I'm pretty good at this. I think I can. And no, I was never successful. Mm. And so it teaches us to lie, but it also teaches to, once again, that, hey, I'm not going to stick my neck out. I'm not going to be on a podcast talking about mental health issues. And then, I mentioned earlier that I'm a sports fan, right? I don't know. Do you remember Andrew Luck, the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts? Mm-hmm. So basically, this cat was in a preseason. He was coming back from injury. He was in a preseason game, and the news broke that he was quitting. The news broke that he was mentally wore out, and he was walking away from the game while he was still on the sideline. And so he's running to the tunnel, and fans are booing him. But my mindset was different. I'm like, okay, well, let's say he didn't say anything to anybody, and then all of a sudden he killed himself. Mm-hmm. What's the very first thing that people said? Man, if he would have just talked to me.
If he would have just reached out. If I had only known, I would have been able to help him.
No, you were probably one of the people that would boo him as he's walking off the field.
But you'll be the first one to post on social media, reach out.
Yeah.
Check on your strong friends. Fuck you. Sorry, I don't mean to drop the F-bomb on my podcast, but that fires me up every time. Is the influx of is when we have something happen, and then it's just bombarded with, oh, reach out. You're strong if you reach out and reach out for look after your strong friends, because even your strong. Yeah. You don't care. It's just cool because you just want people to think that you're kind on social media, so you can get a bunch of likes. Yeah. You don't really care. Right. You care about you. Right. Just like you would care about you when they reached out to help, because it would inconvenience you. Right.
Right. And it is actually so true, and it's so exasperating sometimes. And I we this past holiday season with Thanksgiving and Christmas, we had some folks in the region that were struggling. And people think that, Thanksgiving and Christmas are, what do you want to call it, joyous seasons. Maybe not for everybody.
I mean, in the fire world, you would say 'tis the season. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. It's not you're not saying that jokingly. Right. You're just saying it's 'tis the season, because in that time of the year, you have more suicides statistically than any other time of the year.
Right. And so, for those individuals that were successful in their plan, I take it personal. I take it personal because I don't want people to feel like they died alone. I don't want people to think that there's no help. And that they got it. This is a cross they're dealt with, or the cards are dealt with, and they got to play it, right? And then, I feel bad for the family. I feel bad for the friends, but I take it personal. I'm not naive. I know that no matter what we do, how much education you do, you cannot get people are going to do what they're going to do, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe that person got made fun of, or maybe he told him, hey, I'm really struggling, and he got ridiculed, and maybe he did what? He then lied with somebody else, asking him how he's doing. I'm doing great. Are you? Yeah. Nobody will never know. You'll never know that. So it's it's being authentic, right? Like, you know, I've done a lot of, I've worked with and stay in contact consistently with Eric Chase from EMS Improv that does improv, right? And so it's about standing in the moment. It's about being in the moment, living in the moment, and being the authentic you, right? And sometimes you got to figure out who the authentic you is, right? But we did a class here in Hanover, and first day we had 21 people. The second day we had 8. And dude, when I say that there
was it supposed to be 2 classes? Was it supposed to be back? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it a? Why did so less than half showed up the second day? Or
yeah, I think it's probably because you know it was his first time teaching outside of Oklahoma City, you know, going to a different department to teach it, and I think that it's hard to get people to understand what EMS is. Because, you know, we say improv, people are like telling jokes. Yeah. It's comedy. But it's comedy with a purpose. I had women, men and women in there that were broke down, that were crying, right? Now I'm not looking at them, and this is through playing games. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, those people that's strength. You're in front of a bunch of people you don't really know, and you're broke down. And the thing about it, they don't ever try to force you. Like, for instance, if it was your turn, if you know, and you're taking part of the game, it's your turn, and you felt uncomfortable, you didn't want to participate, cool, and then move on. There's a woman that was teaching Christella, and I can never pronounce her last name, Corrales. Anyway, she is a ball of fire. I mean, but she gets it. She does, and she's been doing improv for the last 20 years now, maybe. And she gets it. She understands it. And the very first thing she said was, all right, look, anybody got any cool cards? Go on, take your cool cards, take them out, and leave them at the front door. And you can pick them up when you leave. I promise they'll be there. Well, you know, it's just getting people to understand that and to relax. And I mean, we don't make fun of ourselves. I make fun of myself all the time because, hey, I do some pretty goofy stuff. See, like, thank you for holding it in. I appreciate it. Thanks for not like trying to like.
Well, I just envisioned you falling out of your truck. Is what I just envisioned.
First off, let's get something straight. Chuck Norris was laying under my truck and grabbed my feet as I got out. And when I fell out of my truck, I was talking to Eric Chase.
Okay.
So Chuck Norris fell out, but then he tried to snipe me, right?
Well, he got you.
No, he did. But you know what? You ain't heard from Chuck Norris since. I'm a bad man, Eric.
For those that don't know, there was Craig was captured on his Ring floodlight camera or whatever that was, falling out of his truck.
And my loving wife, she said
she was the one who shared it for us,
immediately,
right, to see. Yeah,
I called her up at 12:15. By 12:17, it was on Facebook. I'm like, what? And
that's love right there.
Not even asking me if I'm okay. Not asking me, are you hurt? She
figured you were talking to her. You must be fine.
But I will tell you, I felt so much better when I stayed in my car door. Oh my God, that was the best. I was like, look, here you guys, like, take that.
That's right.
But, you know, going back to everything, I mean, you know, and I think the other thing is people don't want to put effort in when it comes. Look, mental health is not sexy, and I know that. I know it's not sexy, but it can be.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be, but it can be made not to be dry.
Yeah, we the way I've spun it is like our minds are the most powerful tool on the planet. Mm-hmm. And if you train your mind, and you can truly become a source of power. Mm-hmm. And for me, like I say, you know, not every tool works the same. But for me, just simple things is just go and do something hard every single day, just a little bit hard. It doesn't have to be very difficult. Right. If hard for you means that you always are sitting on the couch, walk to the mailbox.
Mm-hmm. Right.
take take one step every single day.
And live in the present.
Get that small daily win. I don't, people I think are intimidated by what I say, go work out. You don't have to do what I do. I don't expect you to do what I do.
I mean, I do.
But what I do expect you to do is get your ass up off the couch. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that in a shameful way.
Right.
But I say that I feel like there's no greater form of love than the truth. And I know that you will feel better if you just get up.
So let me ask you this. Why do people hate the truth so much?
Because it's the truth.
But I mean,
because then they have to, I think, so I'll use me as an example. I'm a lot of times my biggest enemy. Just to get you to come over here and do the podcast, I will make excuses for a while before you even got over here.
I'm okay with that. I understood that.
But I feel like, and that's why I feel like I am very in tune with other people's minds, because I do all that shit. It just might not seem like that to them.
Right.
But I do. Everybody does. We all have excuses. None of us feel like doing a lot of things. We don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning, but you have to get up to feel better. You can't, right. When you remain stagnant, then you remain in those same thoughts. Just to simply get up out of bed and walk down the hallway, you can change your perspective.
Right.
Look outside and see the sunlight. Now I know there are people that are in places that I'll have never experienced, and I hope to never experience.
Right.
That I have never been in a place to where I feel like I never want to get out of bed. Like I can't physically get out of bed. I've never been that depressed.
Right.
But I think maybe that's because I have trained my whole life. Everything I've always done is active. So I know that's what makes me feel better.
You keep moving.
Yeah. But why is the truth? What was your question? Why is the truth?
Why don't people like this? Why is the truth so hard sometimes? When people hear it,
I think what I was alluding to is you then have to dig deep into yourself.
You have to look in the mirror.
Is the truth? Wait a second. Maybe that is the truth.
And I think that's where we fail a lot of times as adults is what that person's saying valid? Is there really some validity behind it? And then you've got to look at that and go, you know what, there is. Because sometimes people say something that may be what you're thinking, but that may not necessarily be the case. And you may not know the whole picture, right? But I think to have the opportunity to look yourself in the mirror and go, hey, what can I do to make myself better? Because sometimes, honestly, we do things we don't even realize we're doing it. Because we've been doing it so long, it's just like normal, everyday stuff. But, it's to be able to take that truth and be able to try to make yourself better with it. And sometimes, honestly, the truth is hard to hear. I mean, I always laugh. I was just actually telling gentleman this morning, I was like, I don't think there's people that wake up going, man, I'd love to be lied to. I wish somebody lied to me today. That'd be awesome. Man, I really hope somebody just treats me disrespectfully or treats me like crap, because I think that would be the best today. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Have you ever anybody said that?
No.
Nobody likes to be lied to or disrespected.
Right.
We all, are you going to repose?
No, I'm turning this fan on. I'm getting warm.
Is it because of me?
Yeah, you get me hot and bothered.
Hold on a second. But it's
I can see some armpit sweat in the camera there. So.
Oh, can you?
Yeah. See, but that's an example of self-confidence. Like a lot of people would shy away because they might have some armpit sweat.
Here you go, Ray.
Guess what? We all freaking sweat from our armpits.
That's probably pretty good. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't stink, but I'm hot.
Yeah, but so I mean, yeah, we just don't. So we don't want to have to we don't want to have to work on ourselves to make ourselves better, right? We don't want to have to look at that truth and go, yeah, that's right. And there's been sometimes it's just kind of like I've had people look at me and say, hey, look, peer support or mental health and fire service, you know what you signed up for. It is what it is. And so, you know, I respect that opinion. And my reply to that is, hey, look, that's cool, and I'm glad you shared that with me. You know, hopefully you'll never need us, but if you do, we'll be here. We're not going anywhere. You know, and so it's the you have to be able to respect other people's opinions.
Right. And I probably in my younger days, in my days of maybe being a little rowdy or tougher than I thought I was. I may have said that in the past. I may have said, this is what we signed up for, because that was the cool thing to say. That was the thing to make me feel tough. But the way I look at it is there's not a man or a woman in the public service department that signed up to pull a limp child's body out of a pool, out of a mangled car, out of a burned up building.
Out of a
Did
field.
when you say you signed up for the profession, was that the sentence at the top where you signed your name? You sign up to pull a child out of that is charred and disfigured, that is the same age and looks and resembles the same as your child.
Yeah, no.
Is that what you signed up to do?
Not even close to it.
No, you did not. You did sign up to see difficult things, and those of us that have been in the profession, I do feel have a higher calling and are capable of dealing with things a little bit better than the vast majority of the public. But not a single one of us could say, yes, I signed up to do that statement I just said.
No, not even close. There's not a single soul that if they were to take their shirt and go like this, to have Superman on the shirt. There's, you know, and I think that's the other thing. I think we all think that we're Atlas, right? And that we can carry the world on our shoulders. And yeah, you can for a little bit. But yeah, you're gonna fall and you're gonna stumble, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay not to be okay. It's not okay to stay there.
Bingo. Thank you for following that up.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I actually did a video the other day. I just haven't even posted it yet, and I said that exact same thing, which that's why we're having this podcast, because we're on the same wavelength. But I think that statement has become overused. It's okay to not be okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. I 100% agree with that. But I do not agree with using that statement as a crutch, or using that statement to stay not okay, or, well, it's okay to not be okay, so I'm just going to not be okay.
And I'm just going to sit here, right? And I'm not going to do anything to try to figure out what's going on. I mean, like I said, like if your car's knocking, you're not just going to let it continue to knock. Mm. If your motor's knocking, you're not going to sit there and go, well, it's not going to be okay. It's going to drive you crazy. You want to know what do I need to do? What's going on? Yeah. But we are just so afraid to do the deep dive into us and into our personalities and to face our fears, man. That's not an easy thing either. I mean, people can say, oh, I'm fearless. Well, you may be, but that's not always the case.
No, we all fear is good.
I will. So I'll tell you a little story of myself. So my daughter last night was like, hey, Craig, for some reason, there's a cockroach in our bathroom. Now her bathroom's clean, but she said, there's a cockroach in the bathroom. Can you come kill it? Hell no. No. Go get your mama.
I didn't sign up for that.
I mean, this cockroach could have been like, dude, I am deathly afraid of cockroaches.
It's good to know.
Yeah, it is, because I'll punch somebody right in the throat. If I see a cockroach, somebody getting punched in the throat, and I'm getting fired. Do not mess with me. And I think the reason why I don't like them is because they move faster than I do. And that's really probably 99% of other things that move faster than I do. But it's just a mindset. And so I went in there, I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. So I'm like rattling the door, kicking trash cans. Cause I'm like, if I see this thing, I don't know if I'm going to like soil myself and pass out. I don't know what I'm going to do. So literally.
You have soiled yourself before, right?
It depends.
No.
It depends there. So I didn't. So she was like, "Oh, for crying out loud, I'll get it." I'm like, "Thank God." But you had to be able to face that fear. You just got to be able to, like, all right, let me do that. But
what's on that other side of that fear, though,
is accomplishment. Yes, I did it. And that's, but we just look at the fear aspect of it. We don't think of the other aspect. Like, we don't think about working on ourselves, and we don't think about, hey, we're going to go through hell, and we may touch it 2 or 3 times, but I can guarantee you that the other side of what you're going through is calmness.
Yeah. There's, like the saying, no storm lasts forever.
Right. Right.
What is that? I've heard the story on multiple occasions here recently. Is what is that? I think the cows and the buffalo, when a storm is coming, across the field, the cows will run from the storm, but the buffalo will turn and walk into it, because they know that if they just go ahead and face the storm and walk through it, it'll end a little bit sooner. Because they know it's not going to last forever.
Which makes sense.
But when you're running, you continually run from a storm, and you run and you run and you run, and you never turn around. It's always chasing you.
And what's that storm? It's your problems.
Yeah.
Right? I was a runner. I ran from my problems. And so, going back to...
We all do.
Yeah, and you know what? Even telling you that now, I even hate admitting that I ran from my problems. But I say I hate admitting it, but I really don't, because... So going back to the whole how I got into this, so the whole peer support. So I literally went through my own trauma, went through my own things, and when I thought I was healed, I wasn't. And so this actually helped me to heal things. It helped put in perspective of why I'm doing what I'm doing, so I can help other people not be by themselves. So I can look at somebody and be like, "Hey man, you need a rest? I got you." And so like when I was dating Stephanie, we got married, I had like 6 or 7 part-time jobs. And she said to me one day, she was like, I haven't heard of a single person on her deathbed going, man, if I worked just a little bit harder. And it was like a 2x4 that hit me in my forehead. Yeah. And I was like, wow. And I literally cut down from 6 or 7 to 2, maybe 3. And those are all 3 that I control. Yeah. When I want to work, how much I want to work. Yeah.
So, that brings up, we were talking about, I have 2 different topics on that. I was talking about yesterday, my son was out of school for a teacher work day, and I had 1,000 different things that I wanted to do, or quote unquote should have been doing by whoever set the should have standards in the world. I don't know who set those, but I don't really read them.
Dead.
Yeah, I don't read those standards anymore. Right. I've written my own book.
I do what I want.
Whatever. And so I spent time with my son yesterday, and I didn't feel guilty for it. Sure. And I think so many people, they feel guilty for doing what they would actually make them feel better.
Yeah, and I think the other aspect of that is you had 1,000 things to do that yesterday when your son was off. You didn't. You had 1.
I did. I had 1 because I knew if I came into this office and I started doing those 1,000 things, none of them would have gotten done well at all, because my mind would have been in the other room where he was, because that's where I was needed to be.
Right. And you're always going to have things to do. You're always going to look, you can work 6 or 7 part-time jobs, but you know what? You're always going to chase that money. You're always going to chase whatever the case may be. You're always going to have things to do, and it's just nonstop. Have the ability to prioritize and have the ability to that perspective of, hey, look, how old is Landon? 8. You know what? He's only going to be 8 once.
Yeah.
You know, and
Can't get that time back.
and kids don't care. They don't care what kind of house they live in, what kind of car you're driving, what kind of clothes they have on. All the kid cares is, does that person love me? You know, and that's really at that age.
It's exactly right, because we were walking, and there's this really big house back in the back of the neighborhood, and I was walking by it yesterday. I was like, man, why don't we buy a house like that? He said, no, I like ours. I was like, oh, gotcha.
All right, fair enough then. Yeah, thank you.
No, I don't want to move.
Yeah, and that's and we are so.
But we're harder on ourselves because we think that we need to be working our dicks off to provide this lifestyle that they don't even care about. They just want us to walk down the road and play freaking Pokemon Go.
Hey, look, and by the way, I do like your.
You like my Pokemon desk mat here? I
It's
stole that from Landon. He came in the other day. He's like, "Why is that on your desk?" I said, "Because I'm using it." Are we going to do a Pokemon YouTube video or what?
You were like, but you know, it's kind of like I laugh. Well, I should say I laugh, but like, you know, vampire baseball, right? And so, you know, when you do Colt or Colt League or Mustang, you know, it's like Mustang, Pony, that kind of thing. But like 10-year-olds, right? Little 8-year-old kids, Pinto, that is just, it's coach pitch, right? Those kids don't care but about 2 things. What's the drink and what's the snack?
Yeah.
That's all they care about.
That's right. That's how my wife got Landon to even get interested in baseball. She's like, she's like, well, there's a concession stand there, and you can get like an icy after practice. Sign me up.
what else can I get? And then all of a sudden, it's just kind of like you feel a tug at your pocket. But how hard is it for adults to act like a child or feel or remember what it feels like to be a child? When does a game not become a game anymore? Right, dude. I would like to get him back, man, but that improv class.
I'd like to get him on the podcast. We're Facebook friends. I need to. Yeah,
you would really. He is extremely smart. He's got his own trauma, his own story. But just a spin on it, it's comedy, but it's comedy with a purpose. And the nice thing I like about it, it can be used in your work field, and it's adaptable to anything. But it's just the kind of thing of it's just the thing of coming through with authenticity. Mm-hmm. Authenticity. Say that fast 10 times. I'm waiting.
I can't say it once.
I know. I struggled.
Be real.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but it's, I don't know, dude, but you know, if there's anything I can tell anybody, and I think that's the other thing, like, you know, I know that the messenger can spoil the message, and sometimes they see me and they think that I'm trying to cram mental health down people's throat, and I'm not. I give you stuff you're looking for, and I don't go to you and go on like a little, like Landon, Dad, mm-hmm. Hey Dad, hey Dad, we can play poker.
Watch this. Watch this.
Dad.
Hey, Dad. Let me show you something.
You just you know, I mean, in your mind, you're kind of like, get off me. You know, give me a second to breathe. But I'm not like that. I give you information, and then that's it. I don't follow up. And if you don't use that, I'm okay with that. It doesn't make me mad.
Right. You
know, because you're not going to do anything until you truly hit your rock bottom, and nobody knows what that rock bottom is. You know, for each individual. You know, if you hit rock bottom, the only person who's going to know is you. You know, so I mean, you know, if there's anything I want people to know, though, that today's age of society, hey, look, man, it's okay to show vulnerability. There's strength in vulnerability, right? You know, there's strength. There's strength in asking for help. There's so much strength out there that, you know, I don't want people to feel like that they got to travel this world alone or by themselves.
Right.
You know, we just don't. You know, like I'm watching you now, right? And like I love watching people. I could sit in malls for hours and watch people, just how they react to things, how things get started, what they do, because people just fascinate me. It's not like a stock commercial. Pop like a balloon. And Eric, if you need to cut this, like, what's wrong?
Oh, well, I guess we're actually recording again. We might have been recording the whole damn time. I don't know.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, you probably need to edit those singing parts out.
If you, who was that? Frank Sinatra?
Yeah,
he's staying in there.
Regular old Frankie.
Anyway, we have some technical difficulties. You got to I won't say you're dumb. I have one dumb audio visual.
You need to fire your sound guy.
This sound guy sucks. Anyway, well, now we're recording again.
Wow,
What the hell were you saying?
You know what? I've said so much. We've talked about so much. Just to let people not to struggle alone. You know, it's important to me because I mean I cannot. There's not a single person in this world that hasn't struggled.
Yeah.
Not a single person in this world who lives a carefree life.
Right.
Because if you say you live a carefree life, excuse me, you're struggling.
Yeah.
There's nothing carefree.
Yeah, the zero F's given mentality that you hear people talk about, I don't buy into that.
No,
I don't buy into the zero F's given personality.
So really quick, what are the questions that you had that you'd like to hit? That you'd like to talk about? Because I know we probably
it's probably a good time. We can wrap it up. We've been going almost an hour and 10 minutes at this point.
Okay.
So, I mean,
well,
I know when you're gazing into my eyes, it really makes the conversation flow. But.
Well, honestly, I get kind of starry-eyed.
And before I've screwed up the recording, good thing I know how to edit.
Well, good thing. Good thing. You know people.
If this was the first podcast, that's a good ending point. Is, you know, in mental health, it's just like anything else. You've got to start somewhere. You've got to work on yourself. It's gonna be messy. You're gonna feel like you're doing everything wrong. But you just got to do something, because if this had happened, if the recording thing had happened, my first podcast, I would have been devastated because I didn't know how to edit. I didn't have the proper tools to upload it. It would have been an hour conversation down the shitter because I didn't know how to do anything.
Not really down the shitter, but you know, it'd have been.
But it would have been an hour conversation, not recorded or not uploaded beautifully. As you know, I think that so many of us, we don't start whatever it is because it ain't perfect. But ain't none of us perfect.
We don't start because we make excuses of why we can't start. And I will give a great example of that. So EJ Ivy, you know, I mean, he's been around a long time, and we were having lunch at Marty's with either lunch or breakfast, I can't remember, at Marty's with Will Pinnell. And we were talking about school, and he was like, "Look, bro," you know, he is, "Hey, bro," you know, that guy. It's funny when he said, "Hey, bro," but he said, you know, we're talking about school. He's like, "Look," he was like, "School, the hardest part of school is taking that first step." He's like, "All it is just being tenacious." And once again, because he said it's just being tenacious and taking that, the hardest part is taking that first step. Man, it really hit me. I mean, I'm like, man, you're right. And how can I look at my daughter, my 30-year-old, and say, "Hey, look, you need to go to school. You're smart. You're intelligent. Blah 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 blah." If I'm coming up with 1,000,001 excuses of why I can't.
Yeah. Well, Dad, why haven't you?
Yeah. And I'd be like,
I think I say this quote freaking every single podcast was Ed Milet, is the biggest form of child neglect is the parents not living up to their true potential. Is because, you know, like you just said, well, go to school, you can do anything you want. Well, Dad, how come you're not?
Oh, because I'm well, you know, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. In all reality, how about you just say, "Hey, because I'm scared." There's nothing wrong with that. I'm scared, honey. I'm scared. I don't have confidence in my intellectual ability to get through school, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Straight up. So,
Yep.
Eric, it has been fun. I really appreciated this a lot.
Dude, it's been a long time coming. We might have to do another one. I know. Shoot, I think you and I have had phone conversations this long too. So,
And I know sometimes you call, you're like, oh, I ain't got time.
no doubt. No, it's no bullshit. Like if I don't answer the phone, it's because I don't have 45 minutes to talk.
And I don't think it's all. I can
It's
talk
not.
for years.
It's yeah. There's no offense, but I will call you back at some point, or you'll call me back 3 more times, and then maybe I'll answer, and then we'll have a 45-minute conversation.
And I get that. And that doesn't. But you laugh. That doesn't bother me.
No, it shouldn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just like, hey, I get it. I can talk to ears off a wooden hobby horse. That's the only true gift I have is a gift of gab. Hence,
Well, you look nice too.
do I?
Yeah.
You know, I prepared myself really well. I mean, I got up this morning. I brushed my hair like this. I went about my business, but look,
Yeah,
man,
dude. Oh, yeah.
keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
It can be daunting it can be very daunting at times. The only recommendation, or only comment I would make to you is, you know, you have to be that Brene Brown did the Man in the Arena speech, and her final comment was, you know, if you're not down in the arena getting your ass kicked and getting sweaty and bloody and tired, I don't want to hear any comments from the cheap seats.
Yeah.
It means nothing to me until you're down here side by side, going through the same thing I'm going through. So,
Teddy Roosevelt.
no, I'm Craig Bodette. But thank you, Eric. It's been great.
You stupid.
You. I tell my wife that you stupid.
Hey, well, I know, you know, where do you recommend people if they are truly struggling with suicidal thoughts or just mental health problems at all? Where do you recommend somebody start?
If you're a man of faith, you can go to your preacher, your chaplain.
Thank you for that.
You know, that kind of thing. They actually, believe it or not, are important. And when I say they're important for us and our team, because everybody thinks a chaplain comes in and leads out with faith, and they don't. No, not at all. As a matter of fact, they're
teaching from a faith. The good chaplains are teaching from the Bible, from the verses of the Bible, without actually saying it.
Yeah.
Because, like I just told you before we started, you know, I've been diving deep into reading the Word of God, and every answer is right there.
Right. So that's one. You got CSB, obviously. You know, you got
which is Community Services Board.
Yep.
Okay.
And you also have friends. I mean, friends that have been in your circle for a long time.
Sure.
You know, somebody that you know that will pick you up and carry you.
Yeah.
You know, you also have, there's several different websites. You know, they got and I don't have it I have it on my phone, but it's a text crisis. A lot of people nowadays are texting.
Yeah.
And when you text this number to them, they immediately respond back. It's not within 30 minutes. It's within 15 seconds.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll look them up. I'll put them in the show notes I'll put the crisis hotline, suicide. There's a suicide line now. We'll put those
980, I think I have my cell phone.
We'll put those. I'll put those in the show notes for people. But I think that's important. I know, you know, that suicide topic that people like to sweep under the rug. We don't. We lift that carpet and shake it out. So
I'm here to tell you it's how can I say this? Suicide is you should be able to hopefully realize that there's people out there. Okay, and you know what? I think the biggest thing is once people go through what they're going through, they look at you and go, "You too?"
Right.
You know, I want people to understand that you're not the only person struggling with this.
Yeah. You
know, there's a lot of people out there struggling with the same topics. And when you kind of realize that, wow, it is the same topics, it changes the mindset. People are like, man, I thought I was the only one.
Nope. You ain't alone.
No, not at all.
It's the best way to end this thing. You ain't alone. You're not alone. You don't have to be. Anyway, guys, thanks again, Craig, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you, man. Everything that you've done for me and everything that you continue to do for the public service world and the world in general when it comes to mental health. You truly are making a difference, and you're passionate about it, and you truly do care. So we need more people like you in this world. So I appreciate that.
The compliment. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Thanks for listening on the Daily Podcast. I will get choked up on that. Oh, man. I didn't get choked up this whole damn podcast until right there. But
was it my smile?
It might have been. It might have been that leg. It might have been you stroking my leg under the desk.
I know nothing.
Anyway, guys, thanks again for listening on the Daily Podcast. I truly appreciate you listening, guys. Go on Apple, Spotify, all those good platforms. Give me a 5-star rating and review. It really goes a long way to get the word out there, get the reach. Because we really do. We want to make a difference. We want to help each other grow. And thanks again. On to the next one.